think I saw Flippin' Steve out here in the wild somewhere. Oh, there he is. We don't normally pick up hitchhikers, but I've got a good feeling about this one. Saddle up, partner. Hey guys, we just wrapped up day one at the Raleigh Sports Card Show. Had an amazing time. Flippin' Steve and I went to breakfast first. I picked him up at about 7:30 from the airport. He flew right in after being away for like 24 hours. Kind of crazy. I don't know how he does it. Went and grabbed some breakfast and then hit the show. Flippin' Steve and I have arrived here at the Raleigh show. Steve, tell the people, what are your goals today here at the show? What are you looking for?
One vintage card, one Hall of Fame auto, one non-sports card, hopefully a decent rookie card. I don't know what era that's going to come from.
Nice. I will say there's not a long line here right at the opening, which not that I was necessarily expecting there to be, but it doesn't look like it's jam-packed as of yet. So we'll get inside. I don't know if we're going to be able to film inside because they're a little bit weird about that sometimes, but if we can, we will. If not, then we won't. All right, see ya. Before we dig in, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. It's the big red button down below, the likes, the notification bell. We're also on IG at Sports Card Dad and the Twitter, the Sports Card Dad. All right, so the Raleigh show at 9 a.m. I was thinking like, man, shows have been so busy all over the place. There's probably going to be like a line to get in. No line. So it wasn't too crazy. Really from like 9 to 9:30, it was fairly slow-ish in there. People kind of getting going. This show really runs from, I think it's like 9 to 5 the first day, 9 to 4 the second day. So that, that first hour or so, it felt like it was fairly slow as people were trickling in. But then I would say by about 10:30, 11, it was jamming in there. It was jamming. And I would say from what I saw, and what's kind of nice about this show, it's not a massive show. It's not a tiny show, but it's not a massive show. So you can kind of look across and get an idea of what is going on. And while there were a lot of browsers, just kind of people browsing, taking a look at stuff, checking it out, there was transactions going on. There definitely was. There was a lot less of, though, I would say like the people with the Pelican cases. Flippin' Steve was one of the only ones I would say that had a Pelican case with him. I had the patented fanny pack, my 80s fanny pack, because it's just convenient right there. Got the cards right there in front of me, easy. And so there wasn't a lot of high-end Pelican cases running around trying to make deals. There was some, but there was not a lot. And like I said before, with this show, you don't really know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's 90% cards, 10% comics. Today, it was an interesting mix. It was probably, I would say, 40 to 50% cards, and then the other half was toys, so action figures and kind of antique toys as well, some interesting stuff, 50s toys and all sorts of random things. And then you also had comics and graded comics. So that was taking up the other half. You had probably half that was comics, toys, etc., antiques, and then the other half was sports cards. The other thing I noticed too, there was not as much of the high-end stuff from what I've seen in the past. There was not a lot of high-end dealers, and I don't even mean like high-end as far as like, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 cards. There was some of that, but I'm talking about more high end, like a consistent amount of, $200, $300, $500,000 cards. There was actually quite a bit more of like $1 cards, dollar bins, and kind of that lower end stuff. Quite a bit of it on the modern, ultra modern side, and then also on the vintage side as well. There was vintage dealers out there that had commons from different sets and also, stars, but just ungraded cards. A lot of ungraded cards at the show, which if you go to the larger shows, it's uncommon to see a lot of ungraded cards. Even if it's lower end, it might be a $5 slab of whoever it is or $2 slab or whatever. They're still mostly graded cards. So that was something that stuck out to me, more lower to mid-end, but more on the lower end side, I would say. And then there was mid-end and then a little bit of high-end, but few and far between. I had success finding shiny Pokemon cards for my son, for my youngest. I made in my last video, I mentioned that was kind of my top priority. I was able to find actually inexpensive Charizard cards, so he absolutely freaked out about that. It really, like, the guy gave me a deal. I actually told him it's for my son. He's 7. Can you hook me up? And he did. He gave me a good deal on some shiny Pokemon cards that he thought were awesome, so that worked out great. And then as we talked about in the other video as well, my previous video, my strategy was to bring some of my kind of lower to mid-end cards that I'm not crazy about, but I brought Steph Curry and Tom Brady. So I focused more on the players, less about which card it was. I just kind of asked myself, like, are these cards that I can live without in the case that I do see something that I really do like, that I really want to trade up to? Because I had heard through various people, whether it be content creators or just other people that have been going to shows, that there's been more of that where dealers might have, you know, a $2,000 card that is fairly niche, that is difficult to move. And so they're taking more of the liquid style stuff, you know, kind of like what I brought, really. It's stuff that you can fairly easily sell. It's popular players, but it's not anything crazy. And so the cards I decided to bring for trade were 2 Steph Curry PSA 10 Ruby Red 2018 Prism PSA 10s, a 2019 Select Silver Prism, Tom Brady in a PSA 9, a 2012 Prism, that first year Prism, Tom Brady in a PSA 9, and then also a 2014 Prism, and it's kind of that red yellow, kind of that, it's got a panini on it. I'm not sure exactly the name of the parallel, but it's red and yellow, kind of red and goldish, I guess kind of Buccaneers colors. So it's not a numbered card, but it is in 2014 Prism. It's a very cool Brady card. And so I ended up trading all of those cards to the same dealer. The one card that popped out at me that I was like, that would be a cool card to trade into is the Johnny Unitas rookie card and a PSA 6. So last year when I was at the National, I picked up this same card and a PSA 4 for about $700, $680, I believe. That PSA 4 is now a $490, $500 card, roughly, based on recent sales. And so I was like, man, this is a really cool card. And frankly, just walking around, there wasn't anything that really struck me that I wanted to move into. You know, there wasn't anything that I was like, man, you know, this is something that I really like. There wasn't anything that jumped out. I was really looking at like stuff like my flawless Joe Namath auto type stuff, you know, Hall of Fame kind of all-time great NFL player auto type stuff. And it just wasn't there that I saw. But this one did jump out to me, and it was through 704 Crew is the name of the vendor. The guys, the tables, Rich and Patrick, they were awesome. Thank you very much for working the deal with me. They were very easy to work with. They're actually in North Carolina near the Charlotte area, hence the 704 area code in their name. They have an IG account as well. I'll put their business card, see if I can put it up on my screen here so that you can see them. But check out their IG. They've got a bunch of good football stuff, and they've got basketball. They've got a variety of things, but they were just very easy to work with, and honestly, just good overall guys. They were just nice and easy to deal with. Steve also made a couple of transactions. I'll let him talk about that. I'm sure he wants to make his own video about that stuff. But the first day, it was interesting. There wasn't anything that really sprung out at me, you know, that I wanted, except for this particular card. And then on the toy side, I did see, this is kind of a nostalgic thing that I thought was interesting, but it was one of these tin lunch boxes, and I used to have like Masters of the Universe lunch boxes. This is from 1978, so this is literally basically what I used to take to school, like elementary school, for lunch. It's got a thermos inside and everything. This is, you know, for those that, you know, are probably born later than me, that are not as old as me, you wouldn't remember this type of stuff. It doesn't really exist anymore, but these tin lunch boxes have become collectible. I just thought it would be kind of a cool thing to have in my office, so it's going to be another type of display piece within my office. But that was also kind of a cool find as well. You never know what you're going to find at these type of shows. So again, it was a good time. We're going to go back tomorrow for day 2, see what's out there. It felt like it was a win-win, and it was good to kind of get a grasp on what was going on as far as the local show goes. And it got busy. You know, it was busy in there. I'm curious to see what tomorrow looks like, and if there's also other, you know, cards that are out, other things that dealers bring out. We'll see. So guys, thank you very much for joining me here for another video. Stay healthy, stay awesome. I will talk to you again later.